Hey guys, Alan here, AMH Knives. Today I'm going to talk about setting up the Centroid Acorn control board using the Clearpath servos, how to wire that up, and a little bit maybe about setting up the software on the Clearpath servo. So let's get started. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the Acorn control board. Mine's in a cabinet, which makes it kind of hard to see. But so I'll show you some of the wiring. If you look at the top here, these are my 3 inputs for the controls on the Clearpath servos. We'll start from left to right. First is your yellow wire. Now I am using the Clearpath wires that you can purchase through them that are already pigtailed on the one ends and watertight for the servos, which are really nice. So your first wire is going to be your input B, which is your yellow. Second is your brown wire, which is your input A. Both are negative. And then your third, which is it is orange on there. It's red because I've added to this wiring. So red is your enable. So what that'll give you is I have them all daisy chained together into one, and then enable goes through my e-stop. So anytime you have an issue and you hit the e-stop, it will automatically kill my Clearpath servo so you do not harm anything else on the board. Along with that, you also have to wire up your whites and reds, or whites, black, and blue all get wired together, which I have mine up here, which are all wired together into one, which is a 24 volt DC power, so that's direct power to it. And then you have your green and your red. Those are your drive signal OK. So what you basically do is daisy chain. You start with one of your servos, which gets the red wire gets to a 24 volt common source on the board, or I have on a rail, and then you daisy chain, so it goes from red, then the green wire goes to your next servo's red wire, so the daisy chain together, then that green goes to your next servo's red wire, then that green comes over and it goes to right here, which is red on mine because it's all soldered together, which is your in number 5, and that is your drive signal OK. So what that'll do is when you power the control board up and you fire the system up, it runs through a check and makes sure that all your servos are connected and are running, and then it will give the Clearpath an OK signal, as well as your Acorn board will get an OK signal to allow the system to run. If you do not hook them up, it will not work. So you will have to hook them up. Most of the other inputs on the board are pretty straightforward. You got your e-stop signal right here, and then you've got my 3 homing switches, and then my 4th is the limit switches on the system. Then from the top, God, I gotta remember this, is all my probing set up in here. Right hand side has my spindle, coolant, and main power set up for it. So, and the 10 volts out for my spindle. So that's just a little, piece of the puzzle with wiring. Hopefully that helps you out. I highly recommend that you go on to Centroid's website and download the schematics before you go wiring up any of these Clearpaths. Get the schematics, read them over before you do any soldering or wiring this whole system up, because you don't want to fry nothing. So I'll switch the camera back over and we'll look at a little bit of the Clearpath software. Alright, so here's a little bit of the Clearpath software. Basically, it shows you what Clearpath servo you have. your encoder pulses where you said I run a 6400 pulse encoder. You can reverse direction if you're having issues with the system, but you can configure it however you want, basically. I recommend what you do is take your system, get the mill all set up how you want it, put your vise on it, whatever weight you're going to run on an average. You know, you're not going to be able to know everything about how much weight you're going to run, but make sure you got your vise on it. Your normal pieces, like I'll have my tool setter on it, the giant friggin' Kurt vise on there, and then run an auto tune on the system. And what that'll allow you to do is get the most out of your servos. It'll basically go through, it's kind of weird, it's jerky, it bounces around, it'll go from one end to the other, and what it'll do is basically figure out if you've got any like stiction or stickiness in the system, and it basically works on making the servo the most efficient that it can for your system. So once you've got that tuned and set up and all your servos are exactly how you want, I'm not going to run through it because I've got mine already tuned. It'll be a setup that will be saved into each servo. So you do each one at a time, and then that will give you the most that you can get out of these nice little Technics servos. So I'll pop over to the computer, show you where your encoder or inputs for your pulses are, and how to set up where to put your steps, and switching for the home and limits on the Centroid software. So let me move the camera over there and I'll show that real quick. Alright, so here's your software. I just homed my machine out. So we'll go over to Setup, Configuration, Machine, and Motor. That's going to give you your whole setup. Basically give you your X, Y, and Z. If you've got a 4th axis, awesome, and you can figure that out. But it'll give you, so I have my 6400 set up for my encoders on there, my revs that I've adjusted, and then gives you your limits, where they are on the board and where your homes are on the board, and if you had to reverse any directions on your servos, and then your lash as well. And you go through and you run your cycles, testing it until you get your revs exactly how you want it. That's just a little bit on how to hook up your servos to the Acorn board. So until next time, I'll catch you later.